This is not about partisanship. This is about justice for the survivors, and it's about knowing whether or not we have disgusting pedophiles governing us in the government.
You sound just like Joseph McCarthy. We have pedophiles running our government.
Okay,
we
sure.
have imposition of authority. That's what Joseph McCarthy did. I have a list of pedophiles who are running America. You are a McCarthyite. You are the worst violator of due process. You are exactly what this country has to be afraid of. Shame on you.
This brings me exactly.
I would be more afraid of a guy who signs up to be the defense attorney for said pedophile.
That was our very own Anna Kasparian, and she went head to head with Jeffrey Epstein's former defense lawyer of all people, Alan Dershowitz. And as you can see there, he accused Anna of being a McCarthyite for wanting to hold powerful men who abuse young girls accountable for their crimes. So we're gonna hear more from the exchange and from Alan Dershowitz, including his smears of Epstein's accusers in just a second. But first, man, you gotta give Anna a lot of credit for what she's doing out there.
Yeah, I want you guys to pay attention to a couple of things in the videos we're gonna show you. First, of course, how much Anna kicks their ass, which is hilarious. Two is the excuses that they use over and over again on the Epstein files. So I'm gonna point out the tactics they're using. They say nominally, like, of course, we want the Epstein files released, but, and the buts are the really interesting parts, including that hilarious trick of trying to say that the people who want justice against the pedophiles are actually the bad guys who are being McCarthyite for trying to hold pedophiles accountable. I mean, that was some real twisty twist stuff from Shorty. And then I'll also explain why I called Dershowitz Shorty.
Can't wait. Well, okay, so the theme of the debate was Alan Dershowitz's grave concern for men who he predicts could be falsely accused by women in the files, and a wild lack of concern for the actual victims of abuse. In fact, right off the bat, he questioned whether Epstein survivor Maria Farmer is actually credible, accusing her of anti-Semitism. Take a look.
We can't redact information to protect the so-called accusers because some of the accusers are false accusers. For example, yesterday at the press conference, there was a discussion of a woman whose name is Farmer, who had accused various Jewish men of being pedophiles, and CNN featured it, and they all featured it, and they forgot to mention the fact that she has said, quote, "I have a hard time with Jewish people. All the Jewish people I met are pedophiles who run economy. They're Jewish supremacists. They're people who follow the Rothschilds." Now, if you want to assess her credibility, you have to hear that evidence. Maybe she's telling the truth about being oppressed, but when you hear what she says about Jews and you know that she only accused Jews, then you take that into account. Yesterday, there was a press conference. There were many people. There were the farmers were there. If they were actually abused, and many of them were, why don't they simply release the names of their abusers?
And that isn't the first time that he's disparaged Farmer. In a 2020 column, Dershowitz also argued that Farmer may have been motivated by the anti-Semitic attitudes that she has long harbored to falsely accuse prominent Jews of sexual misconduct. And he's right that Maria Farmer has made some concerning comments in the past, but unsurprisingly, he is leaving out a hell of a lot of context. So Maria Farmer had a lengthy phone interview with journalist Whitney Webb years ago about her experience with Epstein. Here is what she had to say in context. She said, "For a long time, I had a hard time with all Jewish people. I'm gonna be honest with you. For a long time, I was like, I think it's all the Jews. My sister is like, Maria, it's just the ones you met. It's just these people. It's just unfortunate that all of the Jewish people I met also happen to be pedophiles that run the world economy, you know?" So it gives like a bad taste in your mouth, but I kind of understand it better now. You know, they did a number on all of us. We've all had a hard time with it, like a lot of it because of the abuse. So it's hard to not then go, all these people are like this when it's not true. Not all of them, just a huge chunk of elites are like this. And I wonder if it has more to do with the fact that they're elites and not the fact that they're Jewish, and that maybe that there's a Venn diagram out there that makes sense of all this. But Dershowitz leaves out that she felt these biases against Jews in the past, and also that her bias against them seems to have come after her experience with Epstein, not before her experience with him. And aside from that, the Justice Department also said this year that he had 1,000 victims. So even if we were to accept that Dershowitz, his premise that one of these accusers is not credible, which we're not accepting that, what about the other 999 girls and women that the DOJ say that Epstein also abused? So Anna did clap back. She had a response for Dershowitz, calling him out for voluntarily deciding to defend some of the worst people in this country.
You're putting yourself in a weird position here because you claim you were wrongfully accused. That's different from being abused by wealthy, powerful billionaires who have been able to bury the Epstein files for decades at this point. I mean, you would know better than anyone. You were the lawyer defending Epstein, and you secured that sweetheart deal for him in 2008, which essentially allowed for him to leave prison and continue engaging in the same abusive, exploitative, rape behavior.
Exactly.
I would be more afraid of a guy who signs up to be the defense attorney for said pedophile, the guy who in 2018 provided legal counsel and advice to Harvey Weinstein. It is interesting. Has there been a convicted, pedophile or a bad actor that you haven't signed up to defend? I think your credibility on this matter is lacking. I'd say that.
Okay, well, finally, Alan Dershowitz also insisted that Jeffrey Epstein was not, in fact, connected to any intelligence agencies and was not running a blackmail operation. Let's watch.
I have, as a lawyer, represented the Mossad. I helped get 5 Israelis out of a Cyprus prison. I have a good relationship. I'm not a member of the Mossad, I'm not a spy, but I know the former head of the Mossad, the current head of the Mossad. I can state for you categorically, if Epstein had worked for the Mossad, I would have used that to help him get an even better deal. I asked him that question. I asked it to him directly. He would have been motivated to tell me if he had worked for the CIA, if he had worked for any intelligence agency. So I can tell you categorically that Jeffrey Epstein never worked for any intelligence agency, Israel or the United States, and any statement to the contrary is pure McCarthyism again. And I can categorically state, and this is supported by every investigation that has been done, there were no video cameras. There was no extortion. There was no blackmail. It's all made up.
All right, we have to give so much credit to Anna for taking on people like Alan freaking Dershowitz and doing it so well. I can't do what she does. I'm not trying to. I couldn't do what she does. But Cenk, you did mention that certain things kept coming up in these exchanges between Anna and Dershowitz. And I'm gonna say that those things were 1, McCarthyism, and then 2, anti-Semitism, because there was a lot of anti-Semitic accusations that were coming out, saying things like, you know what? These accusers are anti-Semitic, people don't like it. Anna rightfully pointed out that that wasn't really relevant because the claims that she was making were still credible. And also just the fact that, he tried to paint Anna as a McCarthyite, he called her. It's really just a cop-out excuse. It doesn't have any kind of credibility to that argument because, if it just so happens that all these people are pedophiles who are running the government, then that is the case. Just the fact that it's a lot, that is a problem, but it doesn't discredit the actual argument. What do you think, Cenk?
Yeah. So let's start fun and go to the important stuff. The important stuff is about Israel first. Josh Hammer and Alan Dershowitz are both Israel first. And I think that Dershowitz had some comical things that he said there. And that's why they're against releasing the Epstein files and trying to protect the people who did the Epstein files because it implicates Israel. So that's why they're so touchy about it. But let's start out fun. So first of all, I noticed that every time Dershowitz was talking, Anna had that look of contempt and disgust on her face. And I thought, I don't know, in that case, she was not speaking for America, but looking for America, like this at Shorty. So why do I call him Shorty? Because he got massages at Epstein's place. He, of course, goes ballistic when anybody mentions that, threatens to sue everyone. And his big excuse was, no, it's okay, I kept my shorts on. If you say so, brother. if you say so. And he said, oh, my wife did it too. Hey, look, different strokes for different folks. You do you, boo. Okay, but anyways, so Shorty is all animated about this, but Anna made a very good point there. He wasn't a public defender. He didn't have to volunteer to represent Epstein or Harvey Weinstein or O.J. Simpson or Klaus von Bülow. He has represented some of the worst people on earth, and he chose to do all of that. And why did he choose to do it? Because, my God, I care about legal principles and everyone deserves a lawyer. Yeah, that's what we have public defenders for. Or in the case of Klaus von Bülow and OJ, who were both very rich, don't worry, brother, they can put together a perfectly good team because they've got enough money. We're not worried about their legal rights. Their legal rights are definitely going to be represented. No, Dershowitz wanted to represent all those people. By the way, Weinstein and Epstein also spectacularly wealthy. Why did he want to represent them? Money and fame. That's the whole point of Shorty. Shorty loves to get on TV and go, oh, yeah, I represented a person who cut somebody's head off, but I'm so proud of the legal process. It didn't have to be you. I know. You don't have to get your shorts on and pom-poms every time and be like, oh, Jay, cut their heads off, woo! Of course, he didn't. He was acquitted. All right, so now let's get to the heart of the matter. He says there were no video cameras. Bruv. Okay, all right, let's see if there was video cameras. Every other report has indicated there were video cameras. And my favorite excuse was, no, while I was his lawyer, he told me he wasn't CIA. And he told me he wasn't Mossad. So that settles it. So I know for sure. Oh, so Epstein, one of the most notorious liars in American history, told you he wasn't part of a secret intelligence agency and you believed him. Wow, that seems like really good evidence. And he's like, he would have told me because it would have helped his case. You think so? You think maybe if he was going to say that he was working with an intelligence agency, all of a sudden the video cameras outside his cell wouldn't work? And that we might find him hanging in his jail cell, that maybe he might be concerned about that? That didn't occur to you, Shorty? No, of course Dershowitz knows if you're Mossad or CIA and you just did a pedophile ring in America to blackmail powerful people, you're not going to volunteer that information and know that information wouldn't help you. It might get you a life sentence. He's so over the top dishonest, it's hilarious. He's a clown show. And what's always funny about guys like Dershowitz and Mark Levin is that they always think that they're so smart, right? And they come and say the dumbest points all the time, which then leads us to the three main excuses. This is McCarthyism. The poor elite pedophiles, just because are you going to out them and accuse them of raping children just because they rape children? Anti-Semite, McCarthyite. Okay, so McCarthyite is hilarious. And he says, shame on Anna for trying to pursue justice for those horrible predators to get them to serve justice to them. He says, shame on you for trying to get that justice, but not shame on Dershowitz for trying to get the predator off. Epstein, 1,000 girls molested, harassed, raped. And Dershowitz thinks, I got him off in 2008. He's free. Oh man, I got him this joke prison sentence where he can go home during the day, he can do whatever he wants. Yes, I got the pedophile off. Oh God, you want the pedophiles punished? Shame on you, you McCarthyite. Plus, in every argument, it doesn't matter what happened. We're talking about Santa Claus, anti-Semite. Oh yeah, why do you do it at Christmas but not Hanukkah? Picking on the Jews, Santa and the elves. Like everybody's an anti-Semite. It's so exhausting. And now when I hear anti-Semite, I laugh. I'm like, okay, is it the Easter Bunny now? Okay, so the only reason why people are concerned is not because 1,000 girls were raped, but because they're all anti-Semites? Get the F out of here, man. You're embarrassing yourself. Last thing, Dershowitz kept pointing out, and Josh Hammer was like, oh, that's a really good point. Really good point. He said, why don't we name the victims? We should name the victims. We should not redact those girls who were raped. We should name them in public. Why, Shorty? He says, so we could sue them. He says, well, that would be the American justice system at work so that the accused, the poor accused who've been accused by these terrible anti-Semites, they could finally have a little bit of justice when those billionaires try to sue the living daylights out of those women who have no money. And so that way they could crush them legally and do lawfare against them. And who would they hire to do that lawfare? Oh my God, it might be Alan Dershowitz. So for him, that's a win-win. I get free massages with my shorts on, and I get tons of money from these billionaires to help defend these disgusting pedophiles. And we could smear the living crap out of the women and cover up all of Israel's crimes. And I get to call everybody an anti-Semite. Oh, he's in hog heaven over that. Okay, so the reality is, as Drop Site News has shown, Epstein worked over and over again with Israel, trying to get America to bomb Syria, bomb Iran. He got a meeting with Putin, he got to arrange a meeting with Mongolia. And now there's a story out today that we're going to get to a little bit later in the show, where he was working with bankers to get Israel's cyber weapons. So it is not in dispute anymore. It is 100% fact that Epstein worked with Israel. But Josh Hammer and Alan Dershowitz don't want you to know that. So anti-Semite, McCarthyite, the real victims are the pedophiles, and the real culprits are the young girls who were raped, because they're all dirty anti-Semites. And people like Anna looking for justice are McCarthyites. So that's the usual load of crap that Alan Dershowitz peddles.
Yeah, there is a lot of overlap in the stories that we're going to be covering in this hour. But it is ironic how the word or the term anti-Semitism has become so utterly watered down, but by the Jewish people themselves. They cried wolf too many times. So now the word has hardly any real meaning. And we're going to discuss that a little bit more in another story later on. But yeah, he says, shame on Anna, because Anna has a value system that someone like Alan Dershowitz doesn't recognize, let alone understand. And in other parts of the interview that we didn't show the audience tonight, you should watch the whole interview. It's about an hour long. But in other parts of there was a panel discussion there, and they're talking about, the other guest was saying that the American people don't actually care about these Epstein files. They don't actually want to see them released, and that is just not true. That is maybe a very small portion of the American people who don't care about these files, don't care about what or who is in them, don't care to get those people who may or may not be in our government actively out of our government. So it really is just a skewed way of viewing the world and the American people, and it is a complete misunderstanding of our values as a people. And also, by calling Anna, by saying that shame on her, he's also saying shame on everyone who cares about these victims. We are all rabid witch hunters as far as Alan Dershowitz is concerned. And it's so crazy to me. But like Anna touched on this in the clips we showed, but now the fact that we're even putting someone like Alan Dershowitz on a panel like this is a problem. The fact that, anyone is talking to him as if he is a credible, trustworthy, even unbiased source is crazy. Why is anybody listening to anything that Alan Dershowitz has to say on this matter? Everyone knows, just by nature of what is publicly available, the fact that he defended people like Harvey Weinstein, like Jeffrey Epstein, of his own volition for the money. The fact that he defended these people should automatically just say, like, why are we listening to him? Why are we including him in these conversations? Even if he has any helpful or useful insight, he's not going to reveal anything that hasn't already been revealed. He's obviously going to be protecting his own reputation, the people that he knows and works with. He's probably implicated in these files somewhere, as we know he was very heavily involved with Weinstein. He didn't have to be, but he chose to be, and he's like publicly associated with Harvey Weinstein. I don't know why anyone is listening to anything he has to say.
No, good news, they're not. They have him on just to yell and scream and call everybody an anti-Semite. But no real American cares what Alan Dershowitz says. He's a joke. Now, like before, in his mind, he's like, I am famous law professor, one of the most famous lawyers in America. No, brother, you're one of the most famous perverts in America. You're one of the most famous Israel fans in America, one of the most disgusting people in America. And he gets all emotional when you call him a pervert. He's like, I had my shorts on. I don't care what you were wearing or not wearing. It's my opinion, man. And it's also the opinion of a lot of Americans. So have at it, Hoss. Okay, you call us all McCarthyites, but no, you went and got massages at Epstein's place, shorts or no shorts. You defended Epstein, you defended Weinstein, because you like to get famous and rich off of defending perverts, because bosom buddies. Those are the guys that you apparently have great empathy for. That's why you ran to defend them and support them and bear hug them. Oh, Epstein, oh, Harvey Weinstein, oh, OJ, oh, these murderers and rapists and pedophiles. These spectacularly wealthy, disgusting Americans who have gravely harmed others, they need help too. And that's what Shorty's here for. No, you're gonna be remembered as a laughingstock, a joke, a deep embarrassment for anyone that carries the name Dershowitz. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.